Let's just cut away from the Rajya Sabha over here and get you some news coming in. This time a reaction from Pakistan on India's moves on Kashmir. The Pakistan ruling party of Imran Khan, Tehreek-e-Insaf, has reacted. It's calling the move by the government of India unilateral, and Pakistan says it'll counter what it's calling illegal steps. So the Pakistan reaction coming in over here. In fact, separately we can also tell you that the Pakistan government has decided to call a joint session of their legislature to discuss the move on Jammu and Kashmir by India. And the Pakistan foreign minister has also come out with a statement saying that what he's saying, India has resurrected the Kashmir row. So this is the Pakistan version coming out. The Pakistanis obviously stumped by India's moves on Jammu and Kashmir today, and really looking for a position over here, coming out with frankly vague statements like this is a unilateral move by India. Obviously, let me just quickly get a reaction over here from Mr. Pentapati Pularao, who's in the studio with us, political analyst. Pakistan just, falling back at the moment on a very general reaction of it's a unilateral move by India. Obviously, it's unilateral. I mean, they didn't think that we were going to involve Pakistan in this. The other thing that they're saying is India resurrecting the Kashmir row. They're going to call a joint session. I mean, what more would you like to say on how Pakistan might be looking at all of this beyond these general semantics they're coming out with right now?
They will definitely try to create trouble in the valley. They must be prepared for this.
Yes.
Actual trouble on the ground.
Yeah.
And the other thing we all should keep in mind is Article 370 has been there, but for the last 30 years, it did not really matter de facto. We have had things, Kashmir has been governed just as like any other state. There has been president's rule, governor's rule, the army is there. Therefore, while it might be a sentimental issue for everyone, it has not come out as something, it has been a psychological issue from the government side. What do we do about it?
Yes.
So therefore, I think that Pakistan will have more to do by encouraging civil disobedience, violence disobedience, and all these things.
Yeah.
Now they must be planning for that.
All right, okay. And just very quickly, for the benefit of viewers who may be joining in right now and want a quick summary of this huge amount of news that has come in today, the President of India issued a presidential order this morning in which he has said that in exercise of Article 370, Clause 1 of the Constitution of India, and along with the concurrence of the government of Jammu and Kashmir, a number of decisions have been made by presidential order. Number one, that Article 370 will no longer be operative. Now, officially and legally, they haven't revoked Article 370, but by invoking Article 370 Clause 3, they've actually rendered it Article 370, which gives a special status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir as inoperable. In effect, what this really means is that Article 370 of the Constitution that makes Jammu and Kashmir have a special status compared to the rest of India has now been scrapped. And that's a fait accompli. The other thing that's being done is that the government of India has moved some key bills in the parliament today. Number one, the Jammu and Kashmir state will be bifurcated into two parts. So you will have a union territory of Jammu and Kashmir with a lieutenant governor appointed by the center and a legislature as well. And number two, you'll have a union territory of Ladakh, which will have a lieutenant governor appointed by the center, but which will not have a legislature. The third thing they've done is that they've also introduced a bill to introduce reservations, 10% reservations for economically weaker sections to be applicable in Jammu and Kashmir. The effect of all of this is that it brings Jammu and Kashmir into the mainstream of India. It scraps the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. It also means that the constitution, the separate constitution of Jammu and Kashmir is now scrapped. It also means that all citizenship laws which apply to the rest of India, apply to Jammu and Kashmir as well, which means that you and I can go live there, we can go buy property there, we can get a government job over there, all of which we were not entitled to do till now. So Jammu and Kashmir has today been integrated with the rest of India, just like any other state or union territory of the country. Now, the other interesting thing over here is that the Congress over here, and you just heard P. Chidambaram a short while ago, has clearly said that the Congress opposes this, and we're going to talk about this in a couple of minutes. But look at how the different parties are panning out over here. So, in favor of the government's move include the Samajwadi Party, the Bahujan Samaj Party, the AIADMK, the Biju Janata Dal, and even the Aam Aadmi Party of Arvind Kejriwal. But one of the government's allies, the Janata Dal United of Nitish Kumar, has walked out of this. In other words, they really don't want to take a stand on this either way. On the other hand, you have the Congress, and obviously you'll have the NC, the PDP, etc. opposing it. But one of the Congress's own allies, the NCP, has decided to abstain when it comes to voting on this. The other interesting thing over here is that the Prime Minister is going to be calling an all-party meeting very soon. The NDA is going to be meeting separately about this as well, and the Prime Minister is also intending to address the nation, do an address to the nation on the 7th of August. So, the big question over here, first of all, Sumit Peer, is that what does all this mean for the Valley bigwigs right now, the politicians, people like Omar Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti and the others over there?
I think, Jujia, look at it, this is really bad news for the politicians of the Valley. Basically, there have been dynasties who have been ruling, and literally they have been ruling at the cost of blood of Kashmiris, army and the police.
Yes.
That's a fact of life they have made, in this last 30 years, especially of turmoil.
Yes.
Terrorism is a business, sir, and there are a lot of people who have minted money out of this.
Yes.
All the people who die on the road, either it's a Kashmiri or it's an army chap or it's a police wala or a CRPF wala.
Yeah.
None of their people get killed, none of them is affected.
I'll just quickly tell you how they've reacted. The National Conference President, Omar Abdullah, says that they are going to challenge this in the Supreme Court. We're also hearing that the PDP is going to challenge this as well in the Supreme Court. Mehbooba Mufti is also calling it a betrayal of democracy. But what does it mean? I'm just looking at it from the narrow prism of politics,
right,
to the political careers of people like Omar and Mehbooba and others
it's
out
end
there.
of game, Jujhar, because that first of all they always have feathered a few lies. The first lie is that when we did the the annexion, whatever you call it, the article of annexion, whatever you call it, when was it signed, it was signed with special conditions. The first thing the nation needs to know, this was done by Maharaja Hari Singh, and there is no special conditions in the article of annexion. It is the same as other 550 princely states did. Point number two, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah or anybody, whoever they claim as their forefathers, was not involved in the signing. Point number three, the Article 370 was a temporary provision which was gotten by Mr. Iyengar in the Parliament at the last day of the Parliament, saying because there is some turmoil, we need some more time to get all these constitutional things implemented in J&K. 35A Jujhar was bought after 7 years because, it was bought in 1954.
Yes.
So your 35A comes after 7 years of the signing of the next Doctor of Connection.
Yes.
And recently, Mr. Karan Singh, the son of the Maharaja Hari Singh, has confirmed on record the article of annexure, whatever was signed by his father, is same. There are no terms and conditions. Now, the apathy of the situation or the politics of the place is, where does Mehbooba Mufti or Umar Abdullah have those special conditions? They were not involved, they were not possibly born. When it was done by Maharaja Hari Singh, which special conditions are you talking about? Why are you befooling the people? And on this facade of befooling, they mix it with the religion, and they mix it with all other things and make a dangerous cocktail.
I'll just tell you, see Sumit, the bottom line is this. Obviously, now Jammu and Kashmir is going to have a separate legislative assembly, but it's going to be a bit like Delhi, frankly.
Right.
So Delhi's a state, but it has a legislative assembly with a chief minister, but the governor, the lieutenant governor of Delhi, is appointed by the centre, and he has certain overriding powers as well.
Correct.
So frankly, that's what's going to happen to Jammu and Kashmir. And even if people like the NC and the PDP, I'm just looking ahead right now politically. politically. If they come back to power, former government over there, they're going to have to learn to now function under the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. All right, very quickly, it's very interesting because you've talked about some of the history of these important provisions which have been applicable, no longer applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. Let's go over to Hyderabad and join our colleague Vikrant. He has a summary of the history of Jammu and Kashmir over here. Very interesting. Hear this out.
Yes, Jujar, thank you very much. With Article 370 scrapped now, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have just become history. For example, that Centre had limited powers over Jammu and Kashmir before today. Centre still has limited powers, Jujar, as there is a legislature to the Union Territory that Jammu and Kashmir will be. The Centre will still have limited powers. That part will not change. In the next, I'll like my producer to play the next one. And the control, in Jammu and Kashmir, Centre had the control limited to matters of finance, to matters of defence, and other matters on which the two parties had signed in the accession at the time of accession. But now that changes. The constitution stands scrapped. So now the government can have any say in any matter. It has not to be limited to finance or defence only. And now Article 377 had paved way for a separate constitution. Article 370 had paved way for a separate constitution for Jammu and Kashmir. But now that all the central major laws have to be will be applicable in Jammu and Kashmir after 370 has been scrapped. Non-residents were not allowed to buy any kind of land or any kind of property in Jammu and Kashmir earlier. But after today, all of us Indians can buy anything there, buy land there, because like we have been mentioning that Jammu and Kashmir is going to be a union territory now without any special powers that it had. And Jujar, state could decide on permanent residents, who will be the permanent resident of the state. That was a decision that would be taken by the state government of Jammu and Kashmir earlier. But now all citizens of India will enjoy same rights, equal rights, no matter if he or she is from Delhi, Punjab or Kashmir. When they are in Kashmir, they are all going to be Indians. That is what has changed, Jujar. Thank you.
All right, Vikrant, thanks very much for joining us. So, very interesting over here. Lots of political reactions that have also been coming in on the move by the government. Let's listen into some of the reactions. We'll come back and debate that after that.
जम्मू कश्मीर का जो सर था हमारे हिंदुस्तान का, उस सर को आज एनडीए की सरकार ने काट लिया। तो आज सर के बगैर हमारा भारत, उसके लिए जिम्मेदार भारतीय जनता पार्टी है। देश को कमजोर करने के लिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी है। देश की लोकतंत्र के साथ खिलवाड़ करने वाली पार्टी और आज की सरकार है। और जम्मू कश्मीर और हिंदुस्तान के लोग, कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी तक और सिक्किम से गुजरात तक, जो भी सेकुलर सोच की पार्टियां, वो तमाम पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ये लड़ाई लड़ेंगे और जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों के साथ इस घड़ी में साथ रहेंगे। ये हिंदू और मुसलमान का सवाल नहीं है।
हमारे देश के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमान नरेंद्र मोदी साहब ने और हमारी केंद्र की सरकार ने जम्मू कश्मीर और लद्दाख की जनता के साथ बहुत बड़ा इंसाफ किया है। ये जो निर्णय आया है, ये जनता के हित में है।
हमारी पार्टी आज लोकसभा में, राज्यसभा में पेश किए गए इस बिल को समर्थन नहीं देती है। हम इससे अपनी अलग राय रखते हैं। हमारा मानना है कि आर्टिकल 370 को बनाए रखना चाहिए।
Unfortunately, Government of India has bypassed those who associated and always supported association with India. So much element has not been properly treated, and that's why my worry is I don't know what will happen among the younger generation in Valley.
जम्मू कश्मीर स्टेट को 3 टुकड़े कर दिए, जैसे देश के टुकड़े कर दिए, आज इन्होंने जम्मू कश्मीर के टुकड़े कर दिए, आज जम्मू कश्मीर के टुकड़े कर दिए।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने अपने घोषणा पत्र में बार बार इसका उल्लेख किया है कि 370 को हटाएंगे। अभी उसके उस घोषणा के अनुसार उन्होंने कदम उठाया है। दूसरी बात यह है कि 370 अपने संविधान में है, लेकिन उस प्रकरण का शीर्षक ही है ये टेम्पररी और ट्रांजिशनल है, यानी अस्थायी है और कुछ समय के लिए है, तो काफ़ी समय हो गया है।
All right, you heard some of the political reactions over there. Let's get some analyst reactions now. Samir Kumar joining us from Hyderabad. Samir Kumar, just before that, just some more information to share. That, of course, as our viewers, many of you may already know, all communications in J&K have been snapped, so much so that even television is not available there, and of course, no telephones, no internet as well. 8,000 more troops, CRPF personnel, have been sent there today. So basically the augmentation since February has been to the tune of around 85,000 extra troops in J&K. Samir Kumar, I'm just wondering though that at the moment communications are snapped. A lot of the regular people, the Aam Aadmi in Jammu and Kashmir is not even now aware of what has happened over there. On the other hand, the top political leaders are obviously aware, but they've been stopped from leaving out. Like people like Omar Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti, there's security outside their homes and they're being asked not to go out. Effectively, they're under some sort of a house arrest. Now, how long can this continue? Because right now the situation is completely calm because nobody's really allowed to step out and there's a communication blackout over there. But how do you imagine this is going to play out? I mean, at some point, the communications will have to be brought back. How do you imagine that this might play out in terms of reaction and security in the Kashmir Valley over the next few days?
I mean, drawing an analogy with T20, the first 5 overs by BJP has been phenomenal. They have sent, forces there, controlled, they maintained peace there, calm there, and put the leaders who could actually generate some kind of a trouble there. They are all under house arrest. Now we have to see what happens in the next 15 hours. But this was there on their agenda. It's not that they are really having a surprise. I mean, if Congress was opposing, Congress should have taken this matter during the elections. It was there in the manifesto. It was there in their political agenda. It's not that they have done something, out of the way, out of the blue. They knew that it will be coming. Only thing
no,
in the last 5 days.
In fact, 1 second, Mr. Pulla Rao, I'd go to the extent of saying, forget, of course, it was in the BJP manifesto that they're going to get rid of Article 370 and Article 35. It's been part of every manifesto of theirs, including the one this year. But look, Article 370 has been a fundamental cardinal principle of the RSS for decades. It's been a fundamental cardinal principle of the Jan Sangh, which is the parent political party of the BJP. And I think they've made no bones about it that, they're going to get rid of it once they're in a position politically to get rid of it.
Correct.
Absolutely. You see, it is nothing, there's no secret about it.
Yeah.
It was there.
Yeah.
Whether they got a chance to do it, and an opportunity presented itself.
Yes.
Because for the last 15 years, and particularly for the last 5 years, whatever is done in Kashmir, they were not getting any positive feedback.
Yes.
Whether the Article 370 is there, 35A is there, the state is together, there's a special constitution. It did not bring peace. All of that was supposed to bring peace. The idea of Article 370, which Mr. Chidambaram and others should explain, is when you were minister, it was there. It didn't bring peace. 35A was there.
But Sumit Peer, will the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir and the abrogation in effect of Articles 370 and 35A, which have been done today, will they bring peace in Jammu and Kashmir? I know we're not looking at a time frame of weeks or months over here, but will they bring peace over the next couple of years?
And Jujia, the answer to that will be usually when you talk of a common Kashmiri on the ground, they are peaceful people. right? Kashmir 15-20 years back had a Sufi culture. This was the only place in India which had a Sufi culture. It's where Hindus
But it's different now.
No, it's different now. What will happen now? Because the radicalization by this isolation has bred a lot of venom. The moment you have development entering in, the moment you have things develop, the first thing they have to do with this bifurcation, the Lok Sabha seats have to change because it is not in the same proportion. I'll give you a very interesting statistics, Jujar. You look at the Kashmir Valley, it's 15% of the area. They control 80% of the Lok Sabha seats. You know, and you look at the population wise, Kashmir and other parts of the Kashmir are 55-45, but the distribution of seats is not that. So there were a lot of things which are built into Kashmir politics just to benefit a certain section of politicians, and they will keep that burning. They will keep that venom and that havan burning, and you know they don't mind putting the ahuti of normal people.
Because Samir Kumar in Hyderabad, see, one, the government will have to deal with and put up with, as Sumit was just saying over here, some of the alienation and pent-up frustration, which is, let's face it, spread across a lot of people out there in the Kashmir Valley. Second, you have the separatists. Third, you have Pakistan and the terrorists. And fourth, you have some of the other hardliners who are the Wahhabi hardliners, you know, the elements of the IS and other hardline groups of Wahhabi elements that are now beginning to spring up in Kashmir. So the question comes that, you know, that even after all this, can we expect Kashmir to become peaceful in a couple of years from now, given these 3-4 players are now going to be double active from now onward?
One thing is very sure, that I think within 2 years peace will be restored in Kashmir. If you remember, even Imran Khan, after he became Prime Minister, he said he wanted Modi to be the Prime Minister because he can take hard decisions. He is a man who, who can take decisions, and maybe some peace formula can be worked out with Modi as a Prime Minister.
But I don't think this is what Imran Khan was expecting.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean,
Imran Khan wasn't expecting this. His party slammed this.
He has got his own problems. First, he has to set his own house in order before talking about Kashmir. That is a different issue. As far as people of Kashmir is concerned,
no, he's not going to do that. Come on. Politically, diplomatically, and as they deceitfully call it, morally, this is a fundamental issue for Pakistan and the Pakistani army and the terrorist groups that they all support. So now suddenly, whatever the domestic problems over there, Mr. Pullarao, this has become a big issue for Pakistan also now. How are they going to deal with it?
And now this is the second part of the play. It is not going to just go away. There's going to be a lot of disobedience in the valley. Has the government prepared for that? Is the government ready to take it? You see, now comes the blowback. And to what extent government will be able to sustain it, that's a very important situation. They should have planned for it. It is definitely coming. That's what they've been told to do. Therefore, that's what I'm waiting and watching. Well, there should be no time frame, that within 2 years, but hopefully some of the things they have done will
The timing of this, Sumit, is very important. The Prime Minister has made this huge move just over 2 months after he gets his second term in office. In other words, it's not something that was kept for populist reasons only later in his term before the next general election or something like that. It seems obvious right now on the outside that it's been done so that they can deal with the fires and set things in a course of stability over the next couple of years. All right, 1 second. The Congress senior leader Kapil Sibal is speaking in the Rajya Sabha. Let's cut across live and see what he has to say on this. All right, we were inside the Rajya Sabha over there where the discussion is taking place. Prior to voting that will take place on the bill to bifurcate the state of Jammu and Kashmir so that there's a union territory of Jammu and Kashmir with a legislature and a union territory, a separate one of Ladakh without a legislature. Both will have lieutenant governors which will be appointed by Delhi. Sumit Peer, just one interesting point over here. One of the things that came up when we were there in the Rajya Sabha was the Congress senior leader and former Union Minister Kapil Sibal, suddenly saying that Nehru brought Jammu and Kashmir into India, and he began by saying something like Sardar Patel was even willing to give it away. I mean, when he said that, you were in the studio were with me and you had this extreme reaction on your face. What was that all about?
I think, Jisha, that's interesting. This is an aspect of history which is revealed to whole of India today. We know Maharaja signed the annexation because there was a Kabali raid from Pakistan. He was still deciding where to go. When he thought thought those Pakistan had sent intruders to get rid of Maharaja and dynasty, he went to India and signed the, whatever you call the article of annexure or whatever.
Yes.
So he signed that. So now, where on this earth, on which record has Sardar, when Maharaja signs the article, right? So by that, Kashmir becomes a part of India.
Yeah.
So do you think Patel ji had the discretion of then giving it to Pakistan? I mean, are we trading bananas here?
No, yeah, but I'm just wondering, why would a Sardar Patel, who in fact amalgamated 550 odd princely states into India, got Junagadh into India, I mean, why would he be willing to, I mean, I'm asking you to enlighten us on the history of the time.
Jujar, it is impossible for him to do it. In fact, the history says if he would have let
in fact, what's
Sardar
interesting
Patel
is that
to handle
P. Chidambaram, just before Kapil Sibal, when he got up to speak, in fact, he gave credit to Sardar Patel for getting J&K into India. And
Obviously.
Kapil Sibal said the opposite during his speech 10 minutes later.
I think if you would have let it run the Patel's way, Sardar Patel's way, you would not have Kashmir problem. Remember, Sardar Patel was against 370. Remember, Sardar Patel, it's a documented history. When Nehru went to UN and announced it to UN, and Sardar Patel was completely zapped, he asked his person to switch off the TV. It was not Sardar Patel's idea to go to UN. He could put 550 states in one country. If you would have let him handle the Kashmir his own way, unfortunately Nehru, due to his proximity or whatever, wanted to handle it in a different way. And that is where the disaster starts brewing. So if somebody has caused all the problems in Kashmir, it's Pandit Nehru.
I was told, somebody who studied history, but I can't confirm it because after being told that some time ago, I haven't independently confirmed that. I wonder if you can, based on historical records. But what I was told was that when the Indian Army went over there to Kashmir to throw out the Pakistani raiders in October 1947, and they managed to throw them out to a certain point, the point which is now called the line of control. At that point, Nehru, of course, ordered a ceasefire, right? And the Indian officer, the general commanding the Indian troops over there, wrote a cable or a telegram to the Prime Minister, Nehru at the time, saying that, Prime Minister, please give me 3 weeks and I will throw the Pakistani invaders out of J&K completely if you give me 3 weeks. And the Prime Minister replied to him saying that, General, what you want to do on the battlefield, I will do on the diplomatic table. Okay.
I mean, that is history, and even Jujar, the history goes in saying that the general told him.
And of course, we know that Nehru never was able to do that on the diplomatic table. There was a line of control, a ceasefire line, and frankly, that is why we have a Kashmir problem vis-a-vis Pakistan today. And Pakistan has POK.
And if there is only one thing which has to be talked about Kashmir is POK now.
Yes.
Because all other issues are settled. Even that general told Nehru, give me time. We can even go up to Lahore.
Yes.
Don't declare the ceasefire, we can even go up to Lahore. What was the defense capability of Pakistan at that point of time, Jujar? They were not even 1/5 of ours. Even today, Pakistan army has come for Kashmir 4 times, and all 4 times they have lost.
Yeah.
It's the only army in the world which has gone on a war of 4 times, and all the 4 times they lose. That is the great Pakistan army. I don't know what they keep on bragging about and all.
Okay, but there's one problem over here, okay, Sumit. The instrument of accession of Jammu and Kashmir dated 26 October 1947, which the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir signed in India's favor, amalgamating J&K to India on this date, 26th of October 1947. Now, there's one clause, I'm just wondering whether that might cause a problem to what the Modi government has done today in the legal domain. Clause 7 of the instrument of accession says, and I read over here, nothing in this instrument shall be deemed to commit in any way, I repeat, nothing in this instrument shall be deemed to commit in any way to acceptance of any future constitution of India or to fetter my, that is the Maharaja's discretion, to enter into agreement with the government of India under any such future constitution. Now, the Maharaja is no longer alive, but this part, that nothing in this instrument shall be deemed to commit in any way to acceptance of any future constitution of India. Now, this was in 1947, which was before the Constitution of India came into force. So, in other words, he is saying that there's nothing in this instrument which shall be deemed to commit in any way to the Maharaja's acceptance of the Constitution of India.
I think, Jujar, if you look
and
at
the Modi government has done the opposite today. So my question is, could this be one of the legal hurdles now between the Modi government, between the government of India and the Supreme Court when this is challenged in the apex court?
Technically speaking, Jujar, since 1947 to this date, there is only one constitution of India.
Yes.
Right? How does the sequence of events happens? First, Maharaja signs this, order of annexion or whatever we call it. Then, at that point of time, there were two constitutions built. One was at the India level, one was at the state level, which Ambedkar ji thought was the best, and it was circulated all the states. At a later date, we reconciled that there is no need to have a state level constitution. We'll only have an Indian constitution. That's why after the this annexure to the signing of the constitution, it took 2 years. So the draft copy was circulated to all the states, and all the states signed to that. Basically, the Maharaja's position itself is reiterated by that constitution. And technically, there is no new constitution. There is only one constitution after 1947.
No, but you see, legally, the Constitution of India came into effect after this instrument of accession.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years later, number one, all right? And number two, J&K has therefore had a separate constitution as well.
Correct.
Right.
But, when you sign the order, this document of annexion, you have to come to the Indian constitution. What this probably meant was, if at a later date, after 10 or 20 years, you come with a newer constitution, we may or we may not agree to that. That new constitution may not be binding for me.
Okay, Mr. Pullara, my point is this over here, all right? The events of today are going to be challenged in the Supreme Court. I'm just wondering that, look, the naysayers, people like the Congress, the NC, the PDP and others, could obviously pick on something like this, clause 7 of the instrument of accession, and of course it's up to the government lawyers to present the kind of arguments that Sumit Peer is giving. But what I mean is, this obviously looks set to become one of the points of legal contention.
Yes, you can use it as a point of legal contention.
Yes.
But the other main thing is the Kashmir Maharaja himself later abdicated, later left. You see, so therefore he is no longer there. He cannot. It's like the Tsar of Russia. His agreements are null and void unless you want to use it.
Yeah.
Therefore, this will not stand in the Supreme Court, though definitely they will use this as a point to create some kind of definite.
All right. I'll tell you what, I believe that our correspondent Harshad is right now standing by in Jantar Mantar, one of the landmarks of Delhi, and there appear to be some people protesting over there. I wonder what is their position, but Harshad, let's go over to you. What is happening over there in central Delhi?
Jujar, here in central Delhi, I'm at the Jantar Mantar, where there are several people who've organized a peaceful protest here. They're obviously talking about what had happened earlier in the parliament, landmark announcement being made there by the Home Minister Amit Shah. Several people who've gathered here. Let's just get talking to a few of them. I've been joined by one of the protesters over here. Let's just quickly get a reaction from them as to what they feel about this announcement that is made by the Home Minister.
All of us who have gathered here today, and many of us who could not gather here today, we are completely opposed to this step which has been taken by the government, because it happened in complete secrecy and it's a completely undemocratic and unconstitutional step. The people of the state of Jammu and Kashmir have not been asked what they want. This undemocratic decision of removing a very integral part of the constitution has been taken without consulting any of them. And secondly, people there are under siege. They can't go out, they cannot speak to anybody, media, phone, everything has been shut down. Army has been deployed in lakhs, nearly about 1.5 lakhs. People are not able to go out. So what kind of a decision is this? If there was, first they lied to the people that there is a threat, external threat, and that's why they are deploying the forces. But then this announcement was made. So what is it that the government is afraid of? If they want to take this step, it should have, any step that concerns the people of Jammu and Kashmir should have been taken in consultation with them. Without their taking into account their aspirations, how can we take this step?
One question to you here that I'd like to ask is the fact that given the huge mandate that this government had gotten, now they're saying that this is what the country wanted, and now we're delivering as to what lakhs and lakhs, in fact crores of people that in this country wanted this to happen for all these years, and in fact it's happening so late, is what the BJP is saying, that that's the sad bit. But on the other side, what they're saying is 70 years after that, after what so many people in the country wanted, we've delivered what we promised we would.
They should deliver what they promised, but they have delivered अच्छे दिन. They have they delivered अच्छे दिन? That's what I mean to say. They promised employment, they promised development, but citizens of India have not got it. Instead, उल्टा हुआ है, लोगों के पास जो रोजगार था वो भी छिन गया. Unemployment is at an all-time high. Citizens are being lynched in the name of religion, and false narratives of cow protection, patriotism have been created. In the same way, capturing Kashmir is a part of their agenda, which is not part of the democratic mandate. ये जो constitution में दिया गया है, उसके हिसाब से अगर वो जाए तो ये illegal और unconstitutional है. ये right सिर्फ JNK की assembly के पास है, और अभी उन्होंने assembly dissolve करके election नहीं होने दिए हैं, तो ये किसी भी तरीके से mandate का हिस्सा नहीं है. जो mandate का हिस्सा है, जो देश की जनता चाहती थी रोजगार, वो तो यहाँ नहीं मिल रहा है, शांति अमन नहीं मिल रहा है, तो फिर ये this is not part of the mandate, definitely not, and they are doing this in a hidden manner and completely forced and undemocratic manner.
Appreciate you joining us, ma'am, but I'd just like to take you through what's really happening here. Jujhar, you know, people are chanting here, they're clearly making their opinion clear, that they're unwelcoming the decision, they're not happy with what the Home Minister said, and though, you know, we see so many people out there, you know, we just saw how people are celebrating and welcoming the decision at one side. On the other side, you see people who are unhappy with it, and as you just spoke with the guest, you know, they say that it's been done in a very undemocratic manner, and there is a siege of sorts which is in place over there in Kashmir. And in all of this, you know, though the BJP has in a way delivered, you know, they mentioned the fact that 370 and 35A will be removed. Yes,
all right, Harshit, thanks very much for joining us. So, there appear to be people in Jantar Mantar in Delhi who are opposed to what the government has done today. But on the other hand, there's a different narrative as well. And that's been going on in India Gate, also in central Delhi. Our correspondent, Divyayodh, has been there. So check out the other side of people's reactions. Let's see what's been happening in India Gate.
All right. आज आप इतिहास बनता देख रहे हैं, आप इतिहास के भागी हैं, और ये क्षण जीने वाला है 100% 135 करोड़ भारतवासियों के लिए और कश्मीर के उन हिंदुओं के लिए जिनको 30 साल पहले यहाँ से निकाला गया था. आज ये सेलिब्रेट करने का दिन है. आज हर भारतवासी खुश है. हम किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के झंडा नहीं लेके आए हैं, बल्कि देश के लिए आए हैं. आज अपने अपने लिमिटेड एडिशन में जो भी जहाँ भी व्यक्त करने का इससे स्वर्णिम अवसर कुछ नहीं हो सकता, जहाँ के माननीय अमित शाह जी ने और मोदी जी ने देशवासियों को ये सुनहरा अवसर दिया है.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, over here, let's just talk about this with our analyst over here, Sumit Peer. One interesting question over here. Now, there's a lot of speculation. In fact, I know that there was talk within the BJP RSS circles for a few months as well. One of the ideas they were considering was the trifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir. So, Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh. What they finally settled on is bifurcation. So, Jammu and Kashmir becomes a union territory and Ladakh becomes a separate union territory. Why do you think that they chose to keep Jammu and Kashmir as one union territory rather than as separate ones?
I think, Jujia, the answers are two. One is practical, one is political.
Yes.
The practical side of it is because when you look at LOC and international border, it runs through Jammu and Kashmir. It does not go to kind of Ladakh so much. Ladakh has a completely bifurcated border. It's very well defined, right? So if you make it as two different territories, then the governance and all might become issues. Now come to the politics of it. If you make Jammu as a state and Kashmir as a union territory,
but would it make governance? I mean, because after all, governance is one thing, but the security grid could be unified.
Could be unified, yeah. But you know the governance of this, because it becomes a state, it becomes a union territory, you might have some teething problems. Now come to the politics of it. The politics is, if you make Jammu a separate state, Ladakh a union territory, and Jammu as a state and Kashmir as a union territory, that will first of all lead to more alienation of Kashmir. Yeah. Now with Jammu and Kashmir as one territory, the next thing which is on the cards is Jujhar, they will look at the division of seats. Remember the first day when Mr. Amit Shah was in office, he said how can 15% of the valley have 80% of the Lok Sabha seats? Now when you combine the population of Jammu and Kashmir, the division, because Ladakh has very negligible population, the division is 55-45. right? 55 in Kashmir and 45 in Jammu. So when you will combine, the division of seats will be more even. So the representation by area and population will be more even. But if you would not do that, if you only make a Jammu as one state and Kashmir as union territory, then again you will not have a combined
One more quick question. As far as Ladakh is concerned, see, Jammu and Kashmir is going to be a union territory under a centre-appointed lieutenant governor, but it will have its own union territory assembly.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Like, for example, Puducherry.
Right, Puducherry.
Puducherry has a union
Delhi
territory.
has.
All right, yeah. But except that Delhi is a state. But this will be a union territory with an assembly. But Ladakh will be a UT without an assembly.
Without assembly.
Do you think that people in Ladakh will be wondering that, well, why aren't we getting an assembly as well?
I think the only reason is you look at the population of Ladakh, it's not too much, right? The population of Ladakh is only 1 or 2% of the whole state. Though Ladakh has more than 60% of the area of the state. So eventually what you need to do is you have to start the development there, because unfortunately, Jujhar, Ladakh has been left out for last 70 years. It's not a problem of that, it's a 70 years left out.
All right. Okay. I'll just come to Mr. Pullarao. Samir Kumar in Hyderabad. Just want to ask you this, because one of the points that Sumit was also making offline is that, you know, one thing that the government can now do and be able to do is that obviously the valley will have security problems for some time, but they can quickly get going with development directly in Jammu and in Ladakh. And I'm just wondering whether if they can do that, you know, via the Lieutenant Governor, who will be able to sort of get things done easier now between the centre and those areas you know, whether that can also be held up as a model then for the valley in the future, that look, you know, this is the benefit of taking these measures, that we can speed up development.
We can speed up the development. You know, there are, see, Delhi was there under Sheila Dikshit. Delhi is there again after, you know, under Kejriwal. The way Sheila Dikshit performed, Kejriwal is unable to perform. So then the structure is same. It's a union territory, Lieutenant Governor, one Chief Minister comes, delivers, other Chief Minister comes and complains. So it actually depends. I mean, I know what kind of leadership it throws up now. I mean, I really hope this some of these old timers there, who have been in power for the last 60-70 years, if J&K throws up a new leadership, I am sure the state, the union territory now, union territory will prosper. Peace will come back, it will prosper. There are some border skirmishes with Pakistan, but given the tough stand BJP has been taking on this issue, I think even Pakistan will think twice before making, you know, too much incursion into the land or going there, because their economy is in doldrums.
Dr.
For war also you require money.
Say something about this as well.
I just imagine,
yes,
you
I'll
know,
just come back to
in
you.
our
Yes.
country we can move 40.
I don't think it's essentially a question of money.
Yeah.
So much money has put in. Imagine they have taken the train, I think, all the way near Srinagar. They have introduced now so many things, highways, everything, hospitals. I think it's beyond money, number one.
Well, Home Minister Amit Shah in fact said today in Parliament that Jammu and Kashmir has got the maximum money, okay, from the centre, but where has it been spent? Why is it not being spent properly and being visible directly in terms of development? You know, so they actually, you know, I mean, he's actually, you know, also pointing a finger basically at people like the PDP and NC, saying, what have you done with the money? Kahan gaya wo paisa?
5 times the money than the average normal Indian state.
Issues.
Yeah.
Money
5
is
times.
not going to solve it. There are other things which you have to work out.
Yeah.
As you just mentioned, if Jammu was made a separate state, Kashmir, then it would become a very communally identified thing.
Yeah.
Kashmir will be totally minorities, Jammu would be totally majority.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's why they wanted to keep it together. Otherwise, Kashmir will then become more isolated. Internationally, it will be more prominent and say, see what they are doing to us. So that's one of the reasons it's a good political decision.
You know, Sumit, frankly, now Jammu and Kashmir is settled as far as its integration with India is concerned,
Correct.
all right?
Absolutely.
What do you think should be the next step from here?
I think there are two
All right,
things.
one second. Ravi Shankar Prasad is now speaking in the Rajya Sabha. Let's listen to what he has to say.
कारण बने उसके परिणाम स्वरूप शेड्यूल में परिवर्तन हो गया। तो शेड्यूल में परिवर्तन के लिए कि संख्या 29 है कि 28 है, कोई संवैधानिक संशोधन की आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ती है, क्योंकि सेक्शन 3 में ये साफ
Right.
धन्यवाद
Right. Then, see, we must really have such doubts to be raised meaningfully, and then some response from the other side. This is the way we have to conduct ourselves. Nothing wrong.
सर वैसे सर राम कृपाल जी मेरी बात मान लेते हैं सर, ये मेरा खुशकिस्मत
He is a gentleman, na? That's a problem. Dr. Sonali Mansingh, I am taking 0 hours, giving a break for some time. After that, we will revert back to the legislative business. Please try to understand. First is Sonali Mansingh, then Santa Chetri, Vijay Goyal, Ram Kumar Kashyap, Rakesh Sinha, Vandana Chavan. All. Yeah, ma. You know.
What has happened between 10:30 and 11 o'clock?
For information, I will tell you. I will wait up to 10:30, but some of the notices which were given yesterday and Friday, I would have decided them beforehand also. Jairam Ramesh is very extra intelligent. That's the problem. Sometimes I'm not able to cope up with him. See, you please remember, please remember, on Friday, I said that whatever notices are given on Friday, they will be valid for Monday also. You know my observation from the chair at the time. And secondly, today morning, we have sent a bulletin that this will be taken up in the evening. That also is there in today's bulletin. So, if he now ceased to be a member of the House on his own. He quit on his own. And I also inquired with him also. Dr. Sonali Mansingh, please, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this historic day and this most historic debate.
No. You have given notice for 2 schemes to perennially provide natural mineral water and unpolluted water for our cities. We are not on Kashmir as of now.
Zero hour. Okay, sir, but I will speak on art and culture then, sir. And I will connect it. I will connect it to.
Please. You get ready before that. Srimati Shanta Chetri is there? Okay.
Sir,
you come back, ma'am. Yes, check up. I will give you.
I would like to connect.
All right, Rajya Sabha MP Sonal Mansingh over there. A little bit of confusion over there on whether they're discussing Kashmir for the next few minutes or something else over here. All right, Sumit P, one thing I'm just trying to figure out is, there are parties, for example, the Aam Aadmi Party, which is supporting the government on this. The Congress's ally, the NCP, is abstaining. All right, which in effect means they're supporting the government by not voting over there. But the Congress has taken a vehement position against the bifurcation of J&K and against the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A. What is the politics that is dictating this position for the Congress party?
I think there are 2 aspects of it. One, first of all, the leader of opposition, is Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad, and he comes from the Doda district of J&K. He is the one who has also benefited from this 370 and all other things, right? He has with XCM. So he
but
took
a position of this is too big to be just about one man.
So
even
one
though
is that
he may be the Congress leader
one
in the
is
Rajya
that.
Sabha.
So he was there at the helm of affairs. As you know, it just happened so fast, so he gave his reaction. But that's point number 1. But the most important point is,
but all the big Congress leaders, whether it's Kapil Sibal, P. Chidambaram, they're all speaking vehemently against it, and they've announced they're opposing the bill.
There's one more biggest reason, because by getting rid of 370 and 35A, whom do you put in the dock? You put in the dock who brought this bill. Now, who has brought this bill? Congress. Who has brought this is Pandit Nehru. So, when you think that this bill is the reason for debacle of Kashmir and the problems there, we need to get rid of it, you are hitting at their leadership. So, obviously, it's the same dynasty. When it comes to protecting the dynasty, they will all fall in line. It's the same logic. So,
yeah, but Mr. Pulla Rao, let's face it, this kind of decision that's been happening today will be unpopular largely in the Kashmir Valley, but in the rest of India, it's likely to be overwhelmingly popular. And therefore, it will help the BJP and all other political parties supporting the government stand politically as well. Why do you believe, what are the other considerations that are dictating the Congress's stand whereby they're vehemently opposing this? Because they may have to pay a political price for this also.
You see, the Congress got overwhelming of the minority votes this election. Don't forget that. The minority votes have shifted to Congress. Even Kejriwal himself has said after the election, the minority vote shifted to Congress. Then he changed his stance. Now they don't want to alienate this vote. They know that they
But
have.
you're making an assumption over here that minorities outside of Kashmir are also going to be supporting the anti-government position on this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, Sumit P doesn't agree with you.
I think it's an opinion. You know, nobody can do a litmus test.
Yeah.
But by and large, what I feel, if you look at the minorities of India, you know, they have not been alienated. There has not been a glass wall put in them. You see this elections, Jujhar, 50% of the Muslim
this is not about the
places,
minorities in India. This is about the Kashmir Valley.
It's the 50% of the Muslim dominated areas BJP has won. So even the minorities are coming in the national mainstream. They are all for development. So it's a step towards development, for development, and bringing J&K in the mainstream. Why should they oppose? I mean, you look at the triple talaq thing, you look at so many things. The minorities are so well cooperated with the government and there's been no opposition to it. I don't see a reason for them to oppose, but the principal reason for Congress to oppose is when it comes to dynasty, they all queue up. There's no option. Honestly, when you look at Mr.
Samir
Sibal,
Kumar,
no
what will be the political fallout for the Congress
matter.
party of opposing the government position on J&K today?
Does not matter. You know, when it comes to dynasty and politics or the policy, dynasty comes first.
Yeah.
This is
Rajiv.
this is the logic of Congress.
Yes.
Actually, Congress is in a very
Samir
helpless position. In fact, Chadamura went on kind of accusing BJP, saying that, you know, you're going to further, divide states and all that. It was the Congress which divided erstwhile Andhra Pradesh.
Basically.
Telangana came just 3-4 years back. Congress was the party which brought it. So they are the one who have done it. And you know, these are all the things which they play to the gallery.
The Congress
look at the way the voting is taking place.
Rock and a hard place over here.
Look at the voting is taking place. Who are the people who are supporting, who are the people who are abstaining. That's a clear message that their people are supporting. And the same thing happened even triple talaq.
Correct.
The people were so vocal when coming on the TV screen, but when it came to voting, everybody walked away. So, you know, this posturing which takes place in front of the camera is totally different.
I think part of the problem, part of the problem appears to be that just like the Congress party is completely unclear right now and confused about its leader, they've also been equally confused for a long time, may I say, about where they stand ideologically and in terms of agenda and their positioning on all areas of governance. You see, the Congress party doesn't have a clear-cut idea of where they stand on any national issue today.
Absolutely right, Juja.
You know,
you look at the elections.
See, that kind of confusion is there.
Yes.
As you have just pointed out, even Mr. Kapil Sibal, a noted lawyer, he himself started quoting various things.
Yes.
They're doing it by rote. You know, this is our stand. Let's say something. Get away. But clarity is not there, and it is affecting the Congress.
I mean, it's incredible that Kapil Sibal says that Sardar Patel was willing to give Kashmir to Pakistan. And he said this 10 minutes after his senior colleague of the Congress, P. Chidambaram, said that Sardar Patel played the major role in integrating or bringing Kashmir acceding to India in 1947.
No, what they are suppressing, one fact is that this 370 was opposed even by Ambedkar. Ambedkar said that they cannot be two constitutions.
Even by Sardar Patel.
You know, he said 370 is not applicable, no separate constitution for J&K. And when Nehru found that this man is opposed, that, you know, by that time Ambedkar was already a highly respected man because he was drafting the constitution, Nehru quietly went and spoke to Gopalaswamy Iyengar. Why should Gopalaswamy Iyengar draft 370 only, when the major role for constitution was given to Ambedkar? So they found in the backdoor method.
And last day,
Nehru was a big leader at the time, let's not dispute. He was, I mean, he had the presence, he had the aura, and he could, you know, do what he wanted to do. So he brought it through the back door. So when he brought it to the back door, it again went to the Ambedkar. Ambedkar said, then Gopalaswamy Iyengar convinced Ambedkar that it's a temporary provision. Don't worry, we are putting a temporary list. Let's close the chapter. Let's appear united. This is also part of the history. I mean, I read it somewhere. I mean, we were all not born at the time. What happened? We are reading books and.
No, it's right, sir.
So
it's
they have done. They have played this.
No, if you can't just
this 370 is not
if you go
something so sacrosanct.
I think
as
it's
making it
far deeper issue psychologically. This block 370.
Dr. Pullarao.
It is an issue psychologically also. We are making so much of it. Obviously, there is a psychological, a wall. Shall we cross this or not? There is something on the other side. We don't know what it is. I would say yes, it's a very good measure. It's time we change. But you also have to wait for the consequences, because it was such a myth also, this 370, you have got special status. So you have to wait how the reaction sets in, how they do. But it's a measure which time has come, and constitutions change. What you have 70 years ago doesn't continue. And if I point out,
I mean, how many amendments have we had to our own constitution?
Why amendments? The France in the last 75 years had more than 2 constitutions. A country like France, with a written history of thousands of years, they dump their constitution very frequently.
Yeah, but India's constitution has seen far more amendments to it in these last sort of 70 odd years than the United States Constitution that was made a couple of centuries ago.
I think, Jujar, if you look at it, first of all, when you look at what I will agree with, sir, when you look at the Constitution, when Supreme Court ruled in the favor of Shah Banu case, Rajiv Gandhi goes and reverses this in the Parliament, right?
Yes.
By a constitutional amendment.
Yes.
So a constitutional amendment is nothing new to the country. Article 370, what sir rightly said, was a temporary provision. It was not a permanent, it was brought through the back door. It is deemed to be temporary, it was never permanent in nature. 35A after 7 years gets attached to it, right? So if we today go and remove this temporary provision, it's not a permanent provision again, we go and remove this temporary provision, I don't know where the hell breaks loose. It was overdue for so many years, we have gone and removed that, right? And as far as the Congress position goes, Jujar, we have been on election debates, a lot of them, what was their mudda? Rafael and Chokidar Chor hai. Both of that backfired, and what was BJP's mudda? National security and development. Both of them went. So somewhere down the line at a grassroots level, unfortunately Congress seems to be getting everything wrong. Even at this, they seem to be going wrong.
Just on the aside, by the way, there are assembly elections due around October this year in Maharashtra, Haryana and Jharkhand. I mean, really, I think the opposition right now would be, if they weren't already, completely putting their hands up on this one.
I think BJP is working for that 50% plus vote share.
Yeah.
And honestly, by a step like this, it will have huge ramification on every election, because it's like walking the talk, and you do it in first 100 days of you coming to the power. That is very important, Jujar.
Yes.
You didn't keep it for a UP election, you didn't time it at some other election. Within first 100 days before your next term, before your 15th August, you announce it. And there are already speculations in the media that Modi ji is also going to host a flag in Kashmir this time after Lal Killa, or maybe only in Kashmir. I don't know. The government will know. There are a lot of speculations.
Even the Aam Aadmi Party, by the way, has been forced to support the government on what is done in Jammu and Kashmir today. Remember, Delhi elections also coming up early January, February next year. And really, I mean, a thing like this, I think that, even in a place, I mean, it's something that's going to obviously burnish the BJP's nationalist credentials, and nobody would want to be on the other side of it. Let's just hear, we've been getting a lot of reactions from people on the ground as well on this. Let's just listen into what they have to say.
जी हम सोनवार में अस्पताल में थे और बच्चा भी साथ 4-5 दिन से बीमार था उधर अभी घर जा रहे थे देखो रास्ते में कुछ नहीं मिला कहाँ पहुँचना अभी हमको पहुँचना है टंगमरग देखो ये मानो कितना मुसीबत है बच्चों के साथ भी बड़ों के साथ भी किस तरह पहुँचेंगे अभी देखोगे कोई अगर आएगा ट्रांसपोर्ट ये छोटा वाला उसी में जाएंगे तो उसको हम कंडम करते हैं क्योंकि हमारा राइट है जो हमारा राइट है उसको नहीं छीनना चाहिए 370 हो या आर्टिकल 35A हो इसको नहीं छीनना चाहिए कि ये हमारा राइट है तो हम इसको मजम्मत करते हैं और कंडम भी करते हैं कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए और बस ये हमारी शनाख्ती पहचान भी है
जी ये हमारी एक आइडेंटिटी से कश्मीर की जो आइडेंटिटी थी ये मतलब अलग से असाइड से इसको पहचाना जाता था बिकॉज ऑफ दिस आर्टिकल तो ये एक नाइंसाफ़ी हमारे साथ हम मतलब हमारे पास एक ही ऐसा चीज़ था जो मैं बचा रहा था बाकी स्टेटों से वो यही था इसकी वजह से हमारी एक अलग से आइडेंटिटी थी लेकिन अभी हम इस पर मजम्मत करना चाह रहे हैं हम इस पर मतलब ज़ोर देने की बात कह रहे हैं कि इस पर कुछ होना चाहिए तो एज ए मतलब सिटीज़न मैं इस पर यही राय देना चाहता हूँ कि गवर्नमेंट को इसके बारे में सोचना चाहिए कि ये एक अच्छा डिसीजन नहीं है तो जो यहाँ पे पहले उन्होंने अमेंडमेंट रखा था उसमें यही हुआ था कि ये जो आर्टिकल है ये कभी मतलब ये अलग से आइडेंटिटी है कश्मीर के लिए तो इस पर कभी भी इस पे छेड़खानी नहीं होनी चाहिए
आज मेरे ख्याल से 70 साल के बाद आज कश्मीरी पंडित को खुशी मिली है जो आज का निर्णय है मोदी सरकार द्वारा लिया हुआ है 370 धारा हटाने का ये बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक कदम है और इसके लिए हम गदगद आज खुशी है और यहाँ पर खुशी मना रहे हैं।
देखिए 370 आज हटने से हमारा पूरा देश आजाद हो गया है। 370 से देश की इकोनॉमी आजाद हो गई है। देश का 370 हटने से जो मिलिटेंसी है वो खत्म हो गई है। सेपरेटिज्म का मुंह बंद हो गया है और देश के अंदर जो 5 बिलियन ट्रिलियन डॉलर का मोदी साहब ने कहा था वो अब होगा, क्योंकि साथ ही हमारी आधी इकोनॉमी कश्मीर पे खर्च होती थी।
आज का दिन एक ऐतिहासिक दिन है। एक्चुअली में आज असली इंडिपेंडेंस आज मिली है पूरे इंडिया को। जो इन्होंने आर्टिकल 370 और 35A लगाया होता, ये कश्मीर को इन्होंने JNK से अलग कर रखा था। और हम मोदी जी को आज और अमित शाह जी को पूरी बधाई देते हैं।
All right, some reactions over there coming in. Now let's go back to the Rajya Sabha. The Congress's Jairam Ramesh is addressing the House. Let's see what he has to say. All right, Jairam Ramesh was speaking over there. Another senior Congress MP, Shashi Tharoor, has also spoken about Kashmir outside of Parliament. Let's listen into what he's had to say.
India's credibility on this issue at the United Nations? What is going to be India's credibility on this issue in front of the nations of the world, particularly our friends and brothers in the Muslim countries? What is going to be the face with which we look upon our own people when the government has essentially said, by twisting an interpretation of President's rule and of Article 3 and Article 370 of the Constitution, it's essentially torn up decades of interpretations, convictions and practices, then what is left, what security is left under the...
All right. Over there, meanwhile, as the debate is going on in the Rajya Sabha, Home Minister Amit Shah is now about to, or perhaps has just started addressing the Lok Sabha. Let's just listen into his statement in the Lok Sabha now vis-a-vis Jammu and Kashmir. All right, we are just dipped in over there to the Lok Sabha, where Union Home Minister Amit Shah has just presented the bills in relation to JNK today. So the debate on that has now started in the Lok Sabha as well. It's also going on right now parallel in the Rajya Sabha. Remember, the government through a presidential order has rendered Article 370 and therefore Article 35 of the Constitutional inoperative. In effect, they've been abrogated. Article 370 giving special status to Jammu and Kashmir, gone. Article 35A of the Constitution, which basically gives permanent residents of Jammu and Kashmir special rights. For example, outsiders like a lot of us, cannot go live there permanently. We cannot buy movable property over there. We cannot get a government job over there. All that is gone now. Now Jammu and Kashmir is integrated with the rest of India into the mainstream of India. Simultaneously, the government has also brought bills before the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha to bifurcate the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir will become a union territory with a legislature, and Ladakh will become a union territory without a legislature. Both will have a lieutenant governor appointed by the centre. All right, Abhishek is now joining us over here. Abhishek Mishra from the BJP. Abhishek, this is obviously a big historic day for the country and I suppose an absolute landmark, as far as the BJP is concerned as well, because it's been a cardinal principle of the BJP, of the RSS, the BJP's parent party, the Jan Sangh as well, that Article 370 has to go. It's something that you've been after and the wider Sangh Parivar has been after for decades now, in fact since the 1950s.
Yes. See, it's a day of national integration.
Yes.
Today, finally, Jammu Kashmir has become part of mainstream India, as you rightly said.
Yes.
And this was long overdue.
Yes.
And firstly, it is going to benefit the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes.
The people there, Hurriyat, etc., who had, almost hijacked the people of Jammu Kashmir, given them a false narrative.
Yeah.
Now, once they're integrated, once they, they're all the government, the welfare schemes, all the central government things, all.
What is the false narrative you're talking about?
No, they had a false narrative. For example, that from childhood itself, a child in Kashmir was taught that we are separate from India. We are separate from India.
Correct.
But that basic, see, Jujat, that was a basic fault line. when you are telling somebody for repeatedly that you are separate from the country, he will develop a negative psychology which was making them pick up stones. But now once they are part of mainstream,
because that Article 370 which said that JNK has a special status,
and now
they have a separate
now that there is
constitution,
now through the presidential
that the government
order,
of India cannot legislate
Yes.
on any matter
No,
on
for example, I'll give some
JNK except
example.
to do with
Example,
three areas,
there was
except I mean, just for for the benefit of viewers, the Parliament of India has until today not been able to legislate on any area of governance for JNK except three areas, that is defense, foreign policy and communications.
For example, I'll give a basic example. The viewers should know the Indian Penal Code was not applicable basically in Jammu J&K.
Yeah.
They had their own penal code, but now the IPC will be applicable.
Yes.
Similarly, educational sector, there's a big issue there.
Yeah.
Similarly, the corporates, when they would not be willing to go there because they could not purchase land. Now they can purchase land. Now J&K, for all practical purposes, is like any other normal state in India, where anybody can reside, take land, have education, have social anything, and hence this will give the boost of J&K.
You can go and live there now, Abhishek, which you couldn't before today, except that I think for a couple of years, because of the fallout in terms of security, you would probably not want to go over there right now.
Yeah, we can. No, it's safe, secure. You have to understand one thing now. Now you see the normal youth of J&K, he wants progress, education, development. The hardliners' basic narrative has been broken down today. Hence, now you will see development. Now you will see tourists coming in. And most importantly, to the international community, what Imran Khan was trying to go to Trump and try to, say regarding some...
but one thing over here, Abhishek, see, I mean, you may call it the false narrative that the people in the Kashmir Valley were buying, all right, and you are right. I mean, there has been a false narrative, but at the same time, let's accept it, Sumit Peer, that false narrative has been bought by a large number of people on the ground in the valley. I think anybody who's traveled around the valley knows that is how the Aam Aadmi there does feel, and that narrative, to undo that narrative, is going to take time.
I think what I will agree with Abhishek ji, what he said, it all starts from the day you are born. The day you are born, you are said, look, we are not with India, we are not in Pakistan, we are with India but on conditions, so we are special. Right? If you have a narrative like this built in Tamil Nadu or UP or Karnataka, you will have the same set of problems. Because when we are born anywhere in India, we know one thing, we are Indian. Right? But when a child is born in Kashmir, it is not the case. Then we go and brag, look, President of India cannot come and buy 1 inch of land in Kashmir. Modi cannot come and buy 1 inch of land in Kashmir. That is what we are. We decide our own terms. We have our own IPC. We have our own flag. So we are brewing separatism from the day a child is born, and all the things which go around it add to this narrative. So when this child goes up, and then you have the religious matrix, and you add this Wahhabism and all into it, it becomes a deadly cocktail. Then the next step, you see, when he reaches to youth, he says we have to fight Indian occupation. We wanted to be in Kashmir, we were with Pakistan, but India is kind of an occupier, so we have to fight it. How do you fight it? You start with the throwing stones at the security forces. What did General Dillon said 2 days back in the conference, Jujhar, that 80 out of the terrorists who pick up the gun, 86% of them are stone pelters. There was another statistics which was given within 1 year. We neutralized 65% of the terrorists. So, but this is the fact of life. So, with terrorism and guns, you're not going to reach anywhere.
All right, very quickly, I believe that the TMC's senior leader, Derek O'Brien, is now speaking in the Rajya Sabha. Let's dip into what he has to say, and when we come back, I'll go to Mr. Samir Kumar in Hyderabad.